My name is Tilak and today I am doing the project number 8, that is ABC call volume trend analysis. I will be presenting this project and I have focused on analyzing customer experience call data to gain insights and improve efficiency in handling inbound calls. The project objectives are to analyze the trends and optimize manpower planning and reduce the abandonment of agents to provide proper customer service. The tech stack used in this project are Microsoft Excel 2022 and PowerPoint tool for creating a presentation. Firstly, the dataset provided by Trainity carried these columns. The agent name, this carries all the titles or the following IDs given to them, and these are the IDs of those agents. The customer phone numbers, which carries all the phone numbers of the customers. Queue time, this is the time for the availability of agents to the customers. Date and time, this carries the date and time of when the customer calls to the BPO or to the agent, and at this time they called to this agent. This is the time bucket which tells from during which time bucket they called. As you can see, it is from 9 to 10. The duration the duration of the call was 1 minute 36 seconds. In seconds, 96, and the call status carries 3: answered, abandoned, or transferred. And wrapped by is whether the agent picked up or it has been auto wrapped. Ringing column tells us whether the call was received or not, and IVR duration is the same, and picking up the call, receiving the call, and going to approaching the customers as quickly as possible. So let's proceed to the task 1. The task 1 was average call duration analysis. First, we calculated the average duration of all incoming calls per time bucket. This helped us understand customer interaction patterns and plan agent availability accordingly. Let's check it. The Excel file. Use the time bucket column, call seconds column, and call status. So created a pivot table using in the rows I used time bucket, and in values I used average of call seconds, and I have used call status also to determine whether which to specify which we want. So I needed the answered one, so the total was 198. Average duration of calls, we also calculated the lowest. As you can see, the lowest was 12 for the bucket 12 to 13, that is 192.888, and the highest was for the bucket 19 to 20, that is from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that is 203.4. This was the output which I have attached to the PPT. Let's proceed to task 2. The task 2 was call volume analysis. We visualized. So let's proceed to the task 2. The task 2 was call volume analysis. In this we created pivot tables to group calls into hourly intervals. We also counted the number of calls per time bucket. Also plotted a line chart to visualize the trends over time. In this we visualize the total number of calls received in different time buckets. This step helped us identifying peak call hours, which is crucial for manpower allocation. So this was the output. I used in task 2 I have used time bucket column and call status. You time in the rows, I created this pivot table where I took time bucket in the rows and call status in the values. So this was the value, the calls received in each time bucket. So I have plotted this line chart. Also it mentions the total number of count of call status, calls per bucket, time bucket. Like for 10 to 11, as you can see, it's mentioned 13313 in our pivot table. Similarly, it's mentioned 13313 for 10 to 11. Now let's proceed to task 3. The task 3 was manpower planning for abandon rate reduction. We calculated total calls per time bucket to assess demand, determined agents, used formula to calculate required agent count, ensured 90% answered, maintained a high service level. In this, 30% of calls are abandoned due to insufficient agents. Our goal was to reduce this to 10% by calculating the minimum number of agents required per time bucket from 9 am to 9 pm. So this was the output. I have used date and time column, from which I got this date. As you can see, the date carries the date as well as the time. So have I got only the dates using this formula, int and the column name, and I did it for the entire data of that column. And I have used duration column and call status column. After that I created this pivot table using these columns: date, duration and call status. Date column is in the rows, duration is in the values, and call status is in the filter, or it was in the upper one, that is filter, I guess. So this was the pivot table. We calculated these things. This is average time handling call. Use this formula for calculating the average. The hours in per bucket were like 3. The call status was calculated using this formula, and the minimum agents required were 5 and total agents were 57. To calculate the total agents, I have used this formula, and I have also again plotted this bar graph for representing the abandoned, answered and transfer. So this was the task 3. These are the outputs for it: the pivot table, the graph and the calculation part. Let's proceed to task 4. The task 4 was night shift manpower planning. Since there are no night shift agent. We estimated that for every 100 calls received during the day, 30 more come at night. To enhance customer service, we proposed a night shift manpower plan with a 10% abandon rate threshold. We estimated the night calls that were 30 additional calls per 100 received during day, and we allocated agent ensured 10% maximum abandon rate, considered logistics, working hours, breaks, and shift rotation. We assumed the working hours, the break, and shift rotations of the employees. So this is the output. These were the columns used. This is the pivot table, and let's see it in the Excel file. So the columns used in this were same as the task 3, date and time. Similarly, I did the same as I did in task 3. Got this date column from date and time, and used the same duration one and call status. Created uh, again a pivot table which is exactly similar to the task 3 pivot table. So these were the calculations. According to our assumptions, we calculated the average working hour of an employee, that was 4.5 hours. Also calculated the total calls answered. Then after that we calculated average time handling using this formula. Then calls at night that were 30%, which were calculated by using this and dividing by it. We got 1530, and the call status in percentage, for abandoned it is 30%, almost 30%, and for answered it is 70, almost 70, and 1% for transferred. The 90% call rate was 76, calculated, and total agents were 17 for night shift. I have calculated it using this formula. Also, I have also plotted a line graph which is kind of similar to the previous bar chart. It only explains how it goes. You have explained all the abandoned, answered, transferred using using a line graph. So these were the outputs: the pivot table for task 4, the graph for task 4, and the calculations. The key insights were peak call hours in the afternoon, the need for additional agents during high volume periods, and a proposed night shift to handle calls effectively. These strategies helped improve customer satisfaction and reduce call abandonment. And this analysis helped ABC Insurance optimize its inbound call operations by reducing call abandonment, improving agent efficiency, enhancing the customer experience, and it helped me to enhance my Excel skills, and the pivot table analysis, uh, and my visualization skills using various charts. Thank you for your time, and this was my project number 9, project number 8, ABC Color Trends. Thank you.